This video was made in collaboration with the Dragon Ball Wiki. If you'd like to learn more, check out the link in the description. The Life of Cell, Dragon Ball. Cell is the ultimate creation of Dr. Gero, designed via cell recombination using the genetics of the greatest fighters that the remote tracking device could find on Earth. The result was a perfect warrior, possessing numerous favorable genetic traits and special abilities from Goku, Vegeta, Piccolo, Frieza, and King Cold. He is one of the few Red Ribbon androids not directly completed by Dr. Gero, instead being completed by Dr. Gero's supercomputer in an alternate timeline. He's the main antagonist of the Imperfect Cell, Perfect Cell, and Cell Games Sagas. Welcome to the Amagi. In today's video, we're going over the life of Cell. Before we begin, we publish a new video every day, so be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. But first, a few words about today's sponsor, Webtoon. Do you love comics and manga but hate that you always have to wait until the comic store around the corner delivers new stuff, which you then also have to pay for? Yeah, us too, but luckily for you, we know an easy fix. Webtoon is the world's largest webcomic platform and home to epic sagas, short stories, and daily comics. Available anywhere, anytime, and most importantly, always for free. Because Webtoon serves as the roof for thousands of creators from different walks of life, it can be difficult to navigate the landscape and decide which story to read. Here are two webcomic series that we think could be a good pick for you. And if you don't like them, you can go ahead and browse through the available Webtoon library yourself. More power to you. Speaking of power, the first of the two original Webtoon webcomic series of our recommendation tells an epic story about the powerful but relatable exorcist Ezra, who's part of the Church of Providence that fights demons that seek to drain human souls, but a war is looming on the horizon. Equipped with the power of the archangels and with time running out as the evil forces grow, he must seek to find faith in God and protect the life of a special human named Sunny, who seems to have powers of his own. If this sounds like it's just up your alley, go give it a read and let us know what you think. If you're looking for a sci-fi fantasy story of its own kind, let us introduce the Room of Swords to you. Whereas Covenant is about hunting demons and protecting humankind, in this story the characters must complete the so-called Room of Swords and open the gate to freedom in a world straight out of a video game, where the past and future align. In this world ruled by monsters, a user named Gyrus must navigate between different realms and collect the treasured boss sword from the boss of monsters to unlock the mythical Room of Swords before it's too late, or else he will die another death and be stuck in this loop forever. It may sound a little angsty, but it's tons of fun to read and immerse yourself in this wondrous world building and fun characters. What I love about these two stories is that you immediately get a sense for how much creativity is on display and how creators get to style their works in their own unique ways. Both stories come with not only neatly drawn panels, but also transform the reading experience to a new level. After all, it's not every day that you get to see content like this accompanied with some epic background music to get you settled in the right mood, or with cool animation in the panels. And you've also probably picked up on the contrast in design in between the two stories, right? Our advice? Just pick one story that catches your eye and see where it takes you. And with that, back to the video. Background. The version of Cell that plays a large role in Dragon Ball Z hails from an alternate future timeline where he's already evolved to his imperfect form. Unfortunately for him, neither future Android 17 nor future Android 18 are present, having already been taken out by his version of Future Trunks. In order to complete his evolution, Cell kills Future Trunks and steals his time machine, going back in time to the date set by Future Trunks in the standard timeline when both androids are still functional, sometime around 4 years prior to the android's arrival. In order to fit into the time machine, Cell had to revert to an egg, or in the dub, his larval state. Once he arrived in the past, Cell burrowed underground where he would remain for 4 years until he could grow back to his adult humanoid self. Once this metamorphosis was completed, Cell emerged from the ground and molted his skin. Even though he'd evolved into his mature, imperfect form, Cell still feared he didn't have the power he needed to forcibly absorb the androids. To increase his strength, his first actions were to exterminate several towns, absorbing the human inhabitants within. Unbeknownst to Cell, Kami had witnessed his arrival into the present and grew to fear that he would become an even greater threat to the Earth than the androids. After the Z-Fighters were defeated by the androids and decided to evacuate a sick Goku, Bulma tells Future Trunks that she received evidence of a second time machine in a forest by Ginger Town. When she, Trunks, and Gohan go to investigate, they find Cell's abandoned time machine and his leftover egg and molted skin. Cell Saga. After completing his feeding on the humans in Ginger Town, Cell is confronted by Piccolo. Piccolo calls Cell a freak of nature, but Cell's ki shocks him. Cell then looks at Piccolo and tells him that he's next, calling him by name. Piccolo, stunned, asks how Cell knows his name and who he is. Cell then powers up, surprising Piccolo again, and tells Piccolo that he's his brother, although Cell doesn't know at this point that Piccolo fused with Kami. Piccolo again asks Cell who he is, demanding to be told everything. Cell asks why Piccolo would need to know while inside of his stomach. Piccolo says that he would prefer to know who his opponent is before killing him, but he'll make Cell an exception. Cell scoffs at this. Piccolo tells Cell that he doesn't know how he knows the name of Piccolo, and powers up. He then tells Cell that he unfortunately has the wrong person, which confuses Cell. Piccolo says that it was convenient that Cell killed all of the residents already, as now he doesn't have to hold back. He then hits Cell with a massive ki blast. After a brief struggle where he easily beats around the creature, Piccolo asks Cell if that's all he's got, and says he expected him to be more powerful. Cell says that Piccolo isn't a bad fighter, but that he's not yet in his perfect form. Piccolo asks if that's why he's attacking people, and Cell confirms that he's absorbing human energy to power himself up. Piccolo then angrily demands to know who sent him in the time machine, and Cell reveals that he sent himself after reverting to his egg form due to the machine's small size. Cell says that he's surprised Piccolo knows about the time machine, but says that he won't know his next move. Cell then begins to charge a Kamehameha, shocking Piccolo when he recognizes the stance. Cell unleashes his blast, and Piccolo is surprised to see that it's indeed a Kamehameha. He manages to dodge, leaping into the air. Cell, however, ambushes Piccolo and grabs him from behind, pinning his arms and legs. Cell says that he has him now, and stabs Piccolo in the arm with his tail. He manages to suck energy from Piccolo's arm before the Namekian headbutts him and escapes. Piccolo's left arm, however, becomes withered and useless. Cell, now mistakenly confident in his victory, explains who he is to Piccolo. After hearing the story of his creation and his plan to absorb the androids, Piccolo reveals that he tricked Cell to give him the information while he took the time he needed to regenerate his arm and allow him to continue fighting. Piccolo tells Cell that even though he gained more energy from his arm, increasing his strength, he's still beyond the bio-android's capabilities, and Piccolo prepares to finish this fight quickly. Cell, admiring Piccolo's intellect and tactics, praises the Namekian, surprised himself he had fallen for Piccolo's folly. Piccolo, however, states this tactic came from the mind of Kami. From this information, Cell comes to the conclusion that Kami and Piccolo have become one being once again, explaining Piccolo's power, which has kept him slightly above Cell's abilities. Before Piccolo and Cell can fight again, Future Trunks and Krillin arrive at the scene. Future Trunks' presence in the past surprises Cell, as he deduces this is another timeline's version of him. Krillin asks why he can feel Goku's familiar ki coming from the monster, something Piccolo says he will explain later, after they've successfully destroyed the creature. Realizing that he's outnumbered, Cell decides to retreat and absorb more victims, and then finally absorb androids 17 and 18. Piccolo calls Cell's idea a joke, remembering the less-than-average Kamehameha Cell had fired before, something Piccolo states was a sign of Cell's limit of power, and thus has no chance of escaping from Piccolo's much increased speed. Krillin also becomes shocked that Cell can use the legendary Kamehameha wave. Also, can I just say how weird it is to say that properly, because as a kid I used to say the Kamehameha wave. Cell replies to Krillin by stating that not only can he use the Kamehameha, he knows all of Goku's techniques, including the Spirit Bomb. Cell, now with a full plan of escape, shouts that he'll absorb androids 17 and 18 and achieve his perfect form, stating that Piccolo must get stronger if he wants any chance of stopping him. Cell, now done with his threat, raises his hand and performs a solar flare, blinding his foes with a blast of bright light, making his escape and suppressing his energy to prevent them from finding him. As Cell runs through a woodland area, he chuckles at his own getaway, admiring his opponent's stupidity. Cell now states that he must avoid the Dragon Team until he's absorbed enough energy from humans to increase his power higher than Piccolo and the androids, and then he'll have an easy time absorbing them. Cell's only fear is the shutdown remote, which his enemies can use to deactivate the androids and then easily destroy them. However, Cell remembers that Piccolo said Gero's lab was destroyed, so the remote was most likely destroyed with it as well. Cell remembers another city nearby and prepares to have his next meal. In the anime, as Cell approaches Nikki Town, he encounters a bus full of Battle Ball team players. Their bus is stopped by Cell as he simply stands in the middle of the road and ponders his next step. As Cell is blocking their route and ignoring the manager honking the horn, the entire Battle Ball team climbs out of the bus and takes him on. After catching a glimpse of Vegeta flying, Cell easily defeats and absorbs them. Realizing that he's still far below his enemy's power levels, Cell decides to use a hit-and-run strategy at this point, hiding from the Dragon Team while going from town to town, including Nikki Town, Basel Airport, and Chasuke Village. absorbing humans and gaining the power he needs to be able to take on the androids. Eventually, after absorbing several tens of thousands of humans, Cell detects a large key. Knowing that this has to be Piccolo, he deduces that the only thing that can make him fight so hard would be the androids. Gleeful at the opportunity to finally absorb 17 and 18 and transform to a stronger state, Cell wastes no time and quickly heads towards the area. As expected, he finds Piccolo and Android 17 engaged in battle. The battle ends in a draw since the androids and Piccolo focus on Cell. Standing on a hill, Cell happily states that this day has been delayed for far too long, but now is the time where he can finally absorb Android 17 and Android 18 and achieve the completion he has desired since his creation. Cell also notices Android 16 gazing emotionlessly towards him. Judging from the red ribbon mark on his chest, Cell assumes with confidence that 16 is a fellow creation of Dr. Gero and that he must be an older model than the others, and weak enough to safely ignore. As Cell descends from the higher rocky formation of the island, he begins to charge his ki, which completely decimates the entire Rocky Mountain area of the island. At this point, his power has far surpassed the weakened Piccolo and Android 17's, and without any precautions, he approaches 17. Piccolo demands to know how many victims Cell has just absorbed. Cell chuckles and states that they're not victims, but part of something more amazing than anything they will ever achieve in their lifetimes. Cell carries on Piccolo's explanation and tells 17 that the power unlocked from the absorption will be beyond comparison, and that Dr. Gero's dream of creating the ultimate super being will be fulfilled. 17 denies this, stating that he's Gero's ultimate creation and he won't join with him. Cell replies that the absorption will be carried out with or without 17's permission. Android 17 prepares to fight and attacks. After knocking away Android 17, Cell fights and easily beats the weakened Piccolo, even managing to shrug off the Namekian's light grenade. After brutally breaking his neck and blasting a hole through Piccolo's side and tossing him into the sea, Cell is able to attack 17 again. Cell defeats Android 17 easily, and is about to absorb him when Android 16 becomes involved. Android 16 states that according to his calculations, he's just equivalent to Cell in both strength and speed, and pretends that he will be the one to kill Cell. Cell and Android 17 clash with each other with the Bio Impact and Machine Impact rush attacks respectively. However, Cell catches Android 16 off guard and sticks his stinger right into his neck. Cell laughs and says that he can't win before attempting to absorb his bio energy. However, 16's inorganic nature prevents him from absorbing any energy. 16 smiles and takes the stinger out of his neck before tossing Cell into the ground by the tail. 16 steps on Cell's tail and literally tears it off his body. Android 16 says that this will prevent him from absorbing 17 and 18. However, Cell simply regenerates his tail and gloats about the partial Namekian DNA he received from Piccolo. Android 16 realizes that he must destroy Cell completely so he will not achieve his perfect form, and attempts to kick him only to be knocked back when Cell counters with 2 punches. 16 then launches his fist at Cell in retaliation and resorts to using arguably his most powerful technique, Hell's Flash, which forces Cell underground and scorches the island. Android 16 advises 17 and 18 to leave, but 17 is convinced that if 16 didn't kill Cell, it still proved that the 3 of them were unbeatable. Cell uses this opportunity to burst out of the ground directly behind Android 17, and, while sadistically laughing, he quickly absorbs 17 and evolves into his semi-perfect form. After Cell's absorption of Android 17, Android 16, knowing that he's now well outmatched, attempts to flee with Android 18, but Cell easily intercepts them, thanks to the added speed of Android 17. In a display of his new power, he takes a direct hit from Android 16 without injury, and then easily blasts the android away, nearly destroying his head effortlessly. Cell turns to Android 18, but she threatens to self-destruct before joining him if he approaches, which will leave him unable to attain his complete form. In an attempt to pacify her, he pretends to be Android 17 by mimicking his voice, a trait probably gained from his absorption, and tells her how wonderful it is to be part of Cell and fulfilling the great Dr. Gero's vision. Android 16, still functional but badly damaged, warns her of the ploy, something she already knows since both she and Android 17 despise Dr. Gero and would never compliment him. When his plan fails, Cell prepares to attempt to absorb 18 by force regardless, knowing that he's fast enough to prevent her from destroying herself and more than capable of overpowering her. He's prevented by TN, however, who uses his Neo Tri-Beam attacks several times to stall Cell, destroying much of the landscape and nearly killing himself. Though Cell doesn't take any significant damage from the assault, it manages to hold him at bay long enough for Android 16 and Android 18 to make their escape. Eventually, TN is exhausted to the point of death and soon falls unconscious. Cell insults Tien for stalling his plans and decides to finish him as retribution. Before he can execute the Triclops, Goku intervenes by teleporting to their location using instant transmission, meeting Cell for the first time. Shocked to finally meet Goku, Cell greets him as the Saiyan informs Cell that while he's not strong enough yet, he'll fight him in one day and win. Cell laughs at this supposed cowardice before he's amazed by Goku teleporting him and Tien near the sea. He's shocked to discover Piccolo survived his attack and regenerated, as he realized his careless mistake of not properly killing him. Just when Goku grabs Piccolo and makes plans to leave, Cell, who eagerly wants to fight Goku, states that they won't fight another day, but now, and flies towards them. Cell prepares to attack, though Goku uses instant transmission again, whisking the unconscious Tien and barely alive Piccolo back to safety at the lookout before Cell's punch lands. Cell is in awe of Goku's ability to teleport, but dismisses it, saying that his priority now is to find 18. Without anyone to oppose him, Cell continues his search for Android 18. After losing her in a group of islands, he threatens to destroy all the islands nearby unless 18 shows herself. When 18 doesn't answer under 16's orders, Cell proceeds to destroy the islands one by one in an attempt to flush the android out. Having just completed his first year in the hyperbolic time chamber, Vegeta approaches and challenges him. Cell is soon shocked to discover that Vegeta is significantly more powerful than his new body, as the fight is entirely one-sided. Even after powering up to full power, he's unable to injure the Saiyan, who now calls himself Super Vegeta. During their fight, Cell becomes incredibly frustrated as he can't land a hit on the Saiyan Prince, and states if it's not for Vegeta's interference, he knows he would have achieved his perfect form by now and have crushed everyone in his path. With Vegeta keen on knowing more about how strong Cell's final form may be, Cell appeals to Vegeta's ego, stating that if he were in his perfect body, he would be a much better challenge. Vegeta, wanting a stronger opponent, agrees to Cell's proposition. When Future Trunks refuses to allow it, Cell calls on Vegeta to remove him as an obstacle while he goes after the recently discovered Android 18. Cell charges the android with Future Trunks until Vegeta kicks Future Trunks out of the way. Future Trunks retaliates by quickly blasting Vegeta, barely damaging him, but surprising him with the guts to attack his own father nonetheless, and going after Cell again, but Cell is ready and uses the solar flare to temporarily blind everyone long enough for him to absorb Android 18. Cell then puts up an impenetrable barrier while he evolves yet again, this time to Perfect Cell. After Cell achieves his goal of becoming perfect, Krillin becomes enraged by Android 18's absorption and immediately attacks Cell. However, Cell continues to admire his new body, completely ignoring Krillin and Future Trunks' assault, barely registering Krillin and Future Trunks' hits, and takes Krillin's Destructo Disc attack to the neck, with the disc breaking on impact. Vegeta, unimpressed by the display, is eager to resume their battle, which Cell obliges. The tables then turn since their last battle, and now Cell merely toys with Vegeta at the beginning, taking on his attacks without any sign of damage. Vegeta then delivers a powerful attack to Cell's head, with almost all of his energy converted towards the attack, but Cell isn't affected in the slightest. His head turns only slightly from the attack, leaving Vegeta in a momentary state of shock and disbelief. When Cell strikes back, the kick he delivers blows Vegeta away, smashing him through several rock formations, after which Cell proceeds to mockingly thank him, outright stating he would never have been able to reach his perfect form were it not for Vegeta's foolishness. Vegeta then challenges Cell to take his next attack head-on without dodging it and prepares his ultimate attack, the Final Flash. While Vegeta charges his deadly beam, Cell continues to stand calm and collected, smiling while Android 16 looks in disbelief. Cell, however, does become slightly concerned when Vegeta finally fires the attack. Cell takes the full brunt of the attack, vaporizing everything to the right side above his torso. Though Vegeta believes himself to be victorious, Cell proves otherwise. His cells from Frieza allow him to survive and function with virtually any wound, and those of Piccolo allow him to regenerate from the damage instantly. Vegeta, now desperate, fires off dozens of ki bolts, but Cell simply walks through it and with one swift combination of attacks, incapacitates the Saiyan. With Vegeta out of the picture, Future Trunks is free to fully power up without worrying about injuring his father's pride. He soon reaches the Super Saiyan 3rd grade stage. When Cell finally sees Future Trunks' power, he believes Future Trunks to be stronger than himself, although claims that Future Trunks still has no chance of winning. Cell chides Future Trunks, stating that simple brute force is worthless, and quickly demonstrates that he's also able to increase his muscle size in the same manner as a 3rd grade Super Saiyan, and briefly assumes this buff state to demonstrate the mistake Future Trunks made, increasing his muscle mass without balancing his speed. At this point, Future Trunks loses all hope and allows Cell to kill him. Cell considers it, but decides not to after realizing how much more powerful Vegeta and Future Trunks had become in just a few days, and that Goku would be challenging him soon. He instead decides to hold a tournament in 10 days to test his new power. He also admits to Future Trunks that he has no interest in conquest or even his original purpose of killing Goku. He just wants entertainment, primarily through the fear of others. Cell then leaves the island while Future Trunks stares in shock and confusion. Using telekinesis, Cell spends the next morning creating the arena for the tournament, the Cell Games. He then interrupts a live news broadcast to inform everyone around the world about the games and states that he would take on as many challengers as there are. If he's able to survive them all, then he will exterminate all life on Earth. While Cell is at the arena waiting for the day of the competition to arrive, Goku arrives briefly through instant transmission to check Cell's power level, and they engage in small talk. On the day of the tournament, Mr. Satan attempts to fight Perfect Cell first, although he's easily knocked away with one flick of Cell's wrist and is disqualified. Goku and Perfect Cell then begin to battle, although Cell wishes that Goku would have been the last opponent on the list, wanting to save the best for last. In a heated display of power, technique, and ability, Goku seems to be able to keep up with the mechanically engineered monster. Goku throws everything he can at Perfect Cell and suddenly flies into the air and charges a Kamehameha, which is directed towards the Earth, with Cell knowing if Goku launched the technique, he would decimate the entire planet and confidently believes he wouldn't fire. But Goku tricks him by performing instant transmission to teleport directly in front of Perfect Cell and unleashes the blast on him. The entire top half of Perfect Cell is disintegrated. While some of the Z-Fighters are content, believing Cell has died, Krillin, Vegeta, and Future Trunks know otherwise, and indeed the other half of Perfect Cell jumps to its feet and regenerates. Goku and Cell continue their ongoing brutal struggle, with Goku firing dozens of ki blasts in a row, putting Cell in a tight spot as he can't escape. Cell manages to finally halt Goku's assault by using a perfect barrier, protecting himself from the blasts, and destroying quite a lot of the battlefield. Goku knows that if he continues, the Earth will be destroyed, or Cell and he will die fighting each other, and he then suddenly forfeits the match to Cell, shocking both Cell and the other Z-Fighters. He reasons that only one person can defeat Cell, and reveals the fighter to be his son Gohan. The Z-Fighters are shocked or furious, noticeably Vegeta and Piccolo, by this. Even more so when Goku, believing that it wouldn't be a fair fight for Gohan to beat Cell while he isn't in full power, decided to give Cell a senzu bean. Cell is amused, believing the match will be fun, and he'll get to make Goku suffer for his idiotic decision by torturing his only son. Also, it's funny that Vegeta is furious because he's the reason why Cell is even in perfect form. Why is he mad? It takes a while for the battle to commence between Gohan and Perfect Cell, and even longer for Gohan to get serious. As a Super Saiyan full power, he starts out somewhat better than Goku, and his increased speed manages to dodge most of Cell's attacks, but in the end, his efforts are no good, which noticeably worries the spectators except Goku. As the battle continues, Gohan demands that Perfect Cell stop fighting, and he tells him that the power he could harness when he becomes enraged is beyond his control, which may lead to devastating results for Cell. However, Cell begins to laugh as the story doesn't scare him, but it only fuels his desire to push Gohan to the limit, much to Gohan's horror. Finally, Android 16 decides to destroy Perfect Cell and himself with the self-destruct device in his body. He wraps his arms around Perfect Cell's torso with the purpose of killing them both. To Android 16's surprise, Krillin informs that the bomb had been removed by Bulma when she reprogrammed him earlier during repairs. Cell then gains the upper hand and destroys all of Android 16 but his head, which rolls over the battlefield. Cell even claims that even if the bomb did blow up, he would most likely not be affected too much. Realizing that no physical pain on Gohan's own body will unleash his hidden potential, Cell then creates 7 smaller blue versions of himself from his tail and christens them Cell Juniors. After they're born, Cell orders them to attack the Z-Fighters, but not kill them, and begins to wonder if harm to Gohan's friends and his father will finally reveal Gohan's power. Despite their childish appearance and attitudes, the Cell Juniors easily clobber the Z-Fighters, being close to Perfect Cell's own power. As Gohan watches these maniacal minions heartlessly beat his friends and father, he becomes angry. Perfect Cell, noticing Gohan's anger, orders the Cell Juniors to kill everyone. At this point, Mr. Satan discovers the head of Android 16, which surprisingly can still talk. Android 16 pleads to Mr. Satan to take him near Gohan, throw him if he had to, for the sake of the world. Mr. Satan complies despite his fear, and the android's head lands near Gohan. Android 16 gives some advice and words of encouragement to Gohan, saying it's okay to fight sometimes to defend loved ones and to protect nature. Perfect Cell, overhearing this, claims that this was good advice and promptly crushes Android 16's head beneath his foot, wires and parts scattering across the battlefield as Gohan watches in shock. This is the breaking point for Gohan, and he finally snaps. This enrages Gohan to the very limits and pushed him to a new level, Super Saiyan 2. The Super Saiyan level ascended beyond Super Saiyan. Perfect Cell is pleased when Gohan reaches this new form, but Gohan's first action is to mercilessly kill off the smaller Cell Juniors, which he defeats in a single hit each. The already astounded Z-Warriors, with the exception of the satisfied Goku, are amazed as Gohan and Perfect Cell begin to battle, with Gohan dominating the powerful android. Even after Cell, to everyone's surprise and horror, powers up to maximum, a power deemed unfathomable by the Z-Fighters, although Gohan was not impressed, bluntly asking him, "Is that all you've got?" to Cell's initial shock, and lands a hard blow to Gohan's face. Gohan isn't affected in the slightest. With just 2 punches, Gohan almost incapacitates Cell completely, to the complete dismay of Cell, refusing to believe that he could have sustained that much damage. Perfect Cell knows he's no match for Gohan. Gohan then begins dodging all of Cell's attacks, taunting him, with Cell continuing to not believe in this power Gohan sustains, refusing to be outdone by some sniveling Saiyan brat. In anger at his inability to defeat Gohan, he flies high into the air, preparing a Kamehameha at full power. All of the Z-Fighters believe it to be the end, as they believe Gohan is unable to stop it. Yet Gohan doesn't seem concerned at all and responds with his own Kamehameha, sending both Kamehamehas right back at Cell. Cell is unable to avoid it or stop it, and he's decimated by the attack. This almost destroys Cell with his left arm and leg gone, and the right area of his head destroyed. When Goku tells him to finish Cell off in his weakened state, Gohan tells Goku if he's joking, saying he wants to see Cell suffer much more. Both Goku and Piccolo are rather shocked at this statement. Goku warns Cell that since he's backed into a corner, knowing he can't win, they have no idea what he would do now that he's desperate. Yet Gohan waits too long, allowing Cell to regenerate his lost limbs with Piccolo's regenerative cells. Making the same mistake Future Trunks made earlier, he begins a third-grade Super Saiyan-like transformation that reduces his speed drastically, making him unable to hit Gohan. Though his raw strength in this state dwarfs that of most of the Z-Fighters, Gohan is still able to effortlessly cripple him in a single heavy kick to the stomach, a heavy hit to the head in the manga. The blow is enough to make Cell throw up, and in doing so, expelling Android 18 from his body. Cell reverts to his semi-perfect form when he regurgitates Android 18. Cell eventually gets so desperate that he bloats up like a balloon and tries to blow himself up in an attempt to destroy the Earth, knowing he's well outmatched. With no other options, at the last second, Goku uses instant transmission to teleport Cell to King Kai's planet, where he, King Kai, Gregory, and Bubbles all die. With this, Cell technically fulfilled his purpose, as laid out by Dr. Gero, killing Goku. Even after self-destructing at King Kai's planet, one single cell survives the explosion due to the fact that his design provided for such. Using the regenerative abilities he inherited from Piccolo, Cell is able to completely recover. His cells also retain a memory of his perfect form, allowing him to regenerate into that form again despite his loss of both of the androids at this point. Only then does he fully grasp what Dr. Gero meant by the perfect being. Using instant transmission acquired from Goku, Cell, having become Super Perfect Cell, returns to Earth, kills Future Trunks with the full-powered Death Beam, and explains how he survived. Enraged, Vegeta blindly rushes at him in his Super Saiyan form, but is slapped aside. Cell attempts to kill Vegeta with a Ki Blast, but Gohan intercepts Cell's attack. Due to the sheer power of the attack and the fact that he's unable to actually defend against it, Gohan is left without the use of his left arm and his Ki supply reduced to less than half. Cell then wickedly reveals that he's decided to destroy the Earth. The whole situation crushes Gohan's will to fight, as he notes that Cell has a significant amount of power at his disposal, also saying that it was all his fault since he was the one who didn't destroy Cell when he had the chance, which is what made Goku have to sacrifice himself in the first place. Vegeta feels guilty and disappointed in his inability to provide a lot of support in the final battle against Cell, then apologizing to Gohan, believing that Cell has already won. Gohan is surprised by his response, then realizes the reason he's apologizing because he knows they've lost. Goku then telepathically communicates with Gohan with the support of King Kai. Goku ensures Gohan that he's alright, and he's fine in the other world with King Kai. Gohan apologizes for causing his death, but Goku tells him it's nothing to worry about, yet telling him to focus all of the energy he has on Cell. Gohan then prepares a Kamehameha, much to Cell's delight that he will at least have some fun and competition when destroying the Z-Fighters and the solar system. Gohan desperately engages Cell in an energy clash at the behest of the late Goku. As the struggle commences, Gohan is seen losing ground, and Goku tells him that he has more energy than this. Gohan tells him that that's the limit of his energy and that he's still a weak crybaby that he always has been. Goku tells him that that's not true, and that he needs to put more energy into his attack, and Gohan pushes forward, making the struggle at even odds again. In the anime, Cell gains the upper hand several times, nearly overwhelming Gohan nonchalantly. As he's about to finish off Gohan, Vegeta distracts Cell with a surprise blast to the side of his head, being much stronger than the others. Vegeta's blast does what the others failed to do, allowing Gohan to draw out all of his power to overwhelm Cell. Gohan produces a father-son Kamehameha that dispels Cell's solar Kamehameha and engulfs the evil bio-android in the gigantic blast. Cell is left in complete disbelief over his loss and impending death, declaring himself to be the embodiment of perfection before his body is completely destroyed by Gohan's attack. All of his cells are incinerated by Gohan's Kamehameha, resulting in his death. Great Saiyaman Saga. In this anime filler, after Cell is killed by Gohan, he's sent to Hell by King Yema. Frieza and Cell would occasionally train together in Hell. Majin Buu Saga. Later, he and the other deceased villains are shown watching Goku's battle with Kid Buu on a huge crystal ball in Hell. God of Destruction Beerus Saga. While image training in his family's radish field, in the manga, Goku pictures Perfect Cell as the second opponent he faces after 50% power Frieza. Cell attempts to attack Super Saiyan Goku with an energy wave, however Goku stops him from firing it and proceeds to fire several punches and kicks at Cell, who apparently dodges them only for Goku to land a heavy blow to Cell's head, finishing him off. Future Trunks Saga. In the anime, when Goku and Krillin are training together and sent by Roshi to find a medicine called Paradise Grass, they enter a strange forest to look for it. However, due to the nature of the forest, they encounter a manifestation of Cell and other enemies from the past, who attack them. Goku constantly destroys the illusion of Cell, who constantly comes back until Goku makes him and the other illusions disintegrate by focusing his ki to depower them as they were running off it. Universe Survival Saga. In the manga, Cell appears battling Mr. Satan in a movie recreation of Mr. Satan's battle with him. In one scene of the movie, Perfect Cell notes that Mr. Satan is stronger than him and can't believe that such a being exists. Thus, the recreation does accurately portray Cell's arrogant personality, even if it's historically inaccurate. Additionally, Android 17 admits to Goku that he recognizes Goku by his voice, which he heard from the time he was still part of Cell's body, as Android 17 never got the chance to meet Goku face to face. Super 17 Saga. Cell teams up with Frieza to try and kill Goku, but Goku easily dominates them. During the battle, Cell is able to absorb Goku through his tail, and though he does gain more power, the victory is only momentary, as Goku soon forces his way out of Cell's body. Within that brief time, Cell states that the power he had absorbed was nearly overwhelming. He's eventually defeated along with Frieza. Cell was last seen frozen by the coldest ice from Hell, broken in pieces by Goku, and arrested by the ogres. Did you enjoy our video? Be sure to check out these other great videos from the Amagi, and make sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos. Thanks for watching, I'm out.